Hello there, my name is Dr. Saleem Javed. I'm an associate professor at the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication at Linga's Lalita Devi Institute of Management and Sciences, affiliated with Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. We have been running a series called Understanding Cinema, in which we cover different topics in different videos. Today, what we are going to talk about the star system, how the star system started, and why from the eastern coast the entire film industry moved to the northwest of in a city called Hollywood. Now, before we start, let me recapitulate that around 1908, the American film industry began to take its modern shape. Now, this is the time when from East Coast things started moving to Hollywood, which is near Los Angeles. Now, for the information, in the year 1903, Henry J. and Herbert Miles of San Francisco established a film exchange that brought prints from producers and leased them to the exhibitors. It was an immediate success, and we talked about at length about MPPC and how it was born on January 1st, 1909. The MPPC means Motion Picture Patents Company. We have talked about it at length, how it was formed, which were the companies, who were the people, how they monopolized the entire film industry at that point of time. We have talked about it at a great length. Now, what happened, one of the major, what should I say, the change when people started paying for films in 1895, the second change was the advent of feature film. Now, simultaneously, while theatre owners and the public were revolting against the patent company, I would request you to know more about the patent company. Several trust members embarked on producing 2 and 3 reeler films. An independent producer started importing multi-reel French and Italian feature into United States, achieving unforeseen commercial success. The success of Quo Vadis, which was brought in or imported in US in year 1913, was significant that it enabled Italy to dominate the global film market until the onset of the war. Now, this reminds me of a very interesting thing. Recently, new students have started attending their class, the freshers. I was introducing them to the world of audiovisual, and that is where I was telling them, I showed them the glimpses of Ben Hur, Cleopatra, and many more film. Gone with the Wind also, Troy also, and a lot of Indian films, Mughal-e-Azam, Pakiza, and then Tumbad. A lot of films I was showing them as part of the induction. That is where they saw that why US films are such gigantic films. Then I told them that even US learned from Italian films, and then I told them about Quo Vadis and Kabiria, and they were completely surprised by the fact that it were Italian films which basically gave an idea to Hollywood as we know it today to make huge films. Now, if you remember, we have shown you these photographs which you can see on your screen, that these are the photographs or the production stills from Quo Vadis, and you can see that these are sets, huge sets. I mean, it was a time when there was no VFX or CGI. So, all you are seeing is either constructed or brought in. They are live, they are I mean real lines and everything. Now, look at this image again, that it is from Kabiria, which was another Italian film which became quite a success in America, and they got to know that yes, there is a world beyond one reeler or two reeler. I mean, beyond a one reeler, and you can say your story, which is longer, bigger, with more conviction, with more production value, with more actors. Now, what happened because of these feature films? The feature film rendered cinema respectable for the middle class. Now, this is something which is really important. it progressively broadened the cinema's regular audience to encompass substantial segmentation and of the middle class, and emphasize the importance of production quality alongside its quantity. Now, if you have been following this series, we have been talking about that how on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, directors, I mean these are the terms which came quite late, people who were in the process of filmmaking, they were expected to deliver films after films after films on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. So, they started feeling that they are part of some bigger machine where they are supposed to produce. There was no artistic element associated with it. But when people started seeing feature films, they realized that it is a longer production, it requires a lot of planning, it requires more money, it requires meticulous planning, it requires it requires bigger stories to be told, not just some some part of some skit. So, when you put when producers, directors, production houses, they started investing time, money, resources, then then they saw that an entire class, for this one reeler, the audience was different. But when feature film came, the audience changed, and it was readily accepted by the middle class of US. Now, longer films necessitated a more deliberate production process, require hiring expenditure, meticulous attention compared to the shorter or one or two reelers. Once these feature films were widespread accepted, elevated creativity or elevated creative and technical standard engaged as a new competitive focal point within the business. So, if someone says that why one reeler, like today we are obsessed with the reels, so they are short, crisp, there is one idea, it is conveyed, either it shocks you or pleases you, it makes you laugh or it hits your heart, but they are short ideas. But when it comes to feature film, obviously it is more to handle, and then you can say then you convey a bigger idea. It is more calculative, it is more intense, it is more effective. So, like history is repeating itself. So, if I say today is 2025, so in around 1910, 1911, 1912, they were seeing reels, obviously they did not have mobile, for that they were going to the parlor, but it is like 110 years old phenomena. It's nothing is new. You think it is new, it is technology, it is like it is a product of our time, but it has long been lived, long been shared, and long been enjoyed. Now, I somehow very talked about the rise of star system as we know it today. Now, if you remember that I said that the patent company was against the star system. They were not ready to disclose about the real names of the actors or the real names of the actresses or the real names of the directors or the real names of the cameramen. They were very cautious of this fact that if people come to know about these people, those who are performing, whom they are seeing on screen, whom they are admiring on screen, a cult will be born. And subsequently, it happened, and it not only happened, it is continuing till date. So much so that people started observing, not only observing, rather following their mannerism, their lifestyle, the way they dress, the way they behave. People have I mean across the countries, people have started copying their style. So, they were like there was a remarkable sight, there was a remarkable degree of foresighted when it comes to MPPS in terms of the controlling the stars. Now, they were not wrong. Obviously, it was dismantled. MPPS was dismantled, and as you can see on your screen, that within 10 years following the patents company's effective dissolution, stars such as Charlie Chaplin's were commanding salaries of $1 million each pictures and dictating conditions to the studio executives who had previously been their bosses or superiors. Find out who is Little Mary or who is Biograph Girl. You will be surprised that they were known by these names. I mean, Little Mary was Mary Pickford. People got to know it quite late. The Biograph Girl, her real name was Florence Lawrence. People got to know it quite late. Now, these were the pictures, if you remember, I have shown it to you earlier also. So, they are Little Mary and Biograph Girl. Now, production companies were perpetually bombarded with inquiries regarding the personal lives of these leading figures. The patent company remained indifferent. However, producer Carl Laemmle of the Independent Motion Picture Company recognized that each letter represented a fan willing to pay repeatedly not only to view the film, but to see their favorite actor on screen. An empire may perhaps be established based on the attractive visage or the charming smile. Now, this is something, you know, uh, what we are, how we behave, you know. So, Carl Laemmle, he was, I mean, there was nothing called film magazine at that point of time. You know, there was nothing called, you know, behind the scene footage, and there was nothing called, okay, come and see how your stars live, sort of a thing, you know, how they talk in normal life, what do they do in their normal life. So, there was nothing like this, and best part was that it was like as if, I mean, many of you must have written letters to editors. So, as the films were, becoming a commodity, a lot of people were writing that I want to know about this character from this film. Who are they? Where do they live? I really want to meet them. What can I do to meet them? Kindly let me know how can I meet them. I really want to invite them. You know, a lot of other, I mean, lot of things. I mean, when I was in my college, my letter to editor was published in newspaper called Hindu. So, you can associate with that people were writing through letters to these people, and Carl Laemmle realized that so many letters for so many actors, for so many people they are pouring in, why not to commercialize it? So, by 1910, Carl Laemmle lured the immensely popular Florence Lawrence, which was, as I said, she was known by the name of Little Mary, from Biograph by increasing her salary and promptly disseminating an anonymous press report of her death, utilizing her actual name publicity for the first time. Now, this is, look, I mean, if you really want to learn these, why it is important, I always say in my classes and in my lectures also, that why it is important to know history of your stream and history per se also, because it gives you a very different perspective. It gives you what we can learn from what has happened, you know. So, as you can see that Carl Laemmle actually took, or rather I must say steal, Florence Lawrence, Little Mary, from Biograph. She was in contract with Biograph, and when he lured her with more money, you know, I am working with a company and I have a certain salary agreement with that company. Now, somebody comes and says, okay, Saleem sir, we will give you 10 times, come with us. Obviously, we have to look into the legality first, and if you can cover the legal part, then as most people do, little Mary also did the same thing, and she, broke the contract with Biograph, and she was with Carl Laemmle for her film. I mean, it's a wonderful story. And the moment she came with him, he wrote an anonymous letter in newspaper saying that little Mary, her real name is Florence Lawrence, has passed away. And she was a popular figure, you know. Now, as it happened, so people, I mean, there was a huge hue and cry in the public, and for the first time, people got to know her real name. That the lady that we know as Little Mary, her real name is Florence Lawrence, and she has passed away. Now, what he did next? Now, subsequently, he initiated a comprehensive advertising campaign to discredit the narrative as a black lie propagated by the patent company to obscure the reality that Miss Lawrence had joined IMP. IMP is the name of a company. Now, look what's going on. I mean, you really have to realize that so much of game is going on that he himself took little Mary. He released the news that she has passed away himself in a newspaper. When there was a sentiment running across the people, he said, no, 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 look, this is a pure lie and it is being propagated by patent company. Miss Lawrence is with us, safe, alive. So, if I say this is the first recorded cinematic public stunt other than the film that you were seeing, so it was first public reality stunt in terms of publicity. So, then to prove his point, Carl Laemmle assured that King Bagot, IMP's foremost actor, even his name was, for the first time his name was used, would accompany Miss Lawrence at St. Louis on the day of their inaugural IMP film premiered in that city. Now, look at think that how much planning is going on, how much lie is going on, how much rumor is being woven around. You take a lady, I mean, she was in a contract, she is a popular figure, you give her more films, more money, and a new film also. Then you feed the press that she has passed away. When the sentiment is at its highest, you tell, no, 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 she is not, she hasn't passed away, she is with us, she is working with us, we will bring her to the premiere in your city, and not only she will be coming, our lead actor King Bagot will also be coming, and it is our film. Please come and see our film. So, for the first time, people could sense, or it was Carl Laemmle who was able to exhibit that it is not only about film, it is the buzz which is created around the film, which can attract more audience, which can create a curiosity, which can garner a new business format. Now, this is so as the day neared, the St. Louis railway station resembled a near right spectators gathered to witness the former Biograph girl in person. The gimmick was so effective that other independent producer quickly implemented their star policy. Now, look at the effect of this stunt, which was pulled by Carl Laemmle, that he made other producers, other production houses realize the importance of star, the importance of publicity, the importance of gimmick, the importance of, if I can say, manipulation. So, the gimmick was so effective that other independent producers quickly implemented their own star policy. And as a result, what happened, as little Mary, she broke away from patent company, lot of big actors other than her actually took off, or rather broke their contract with patent company. Now, by 1930, Vitagraph, Lubin, Kellem has been promoting their performers, while Biograph was actively endorsing their directors. Now, look at the effect of the incident, that part of the MPPS people, they started promoting their performers, whereas earlier they were staunchly against it. On the other hand, Biograph was actively endorsing their directors and cinematographers. So, simultaneously, so one production house is promoting their actors, another production house is promoting their directors and cinematographers. Like for the first time, people started hearing names of directors like Billy, Griffith, who were both destined to transition to independent status shortly hereafter. I mean, before Griffith or Billy for that matter, all the directors like that I have been talking about, either they had extraordinary merit, and hardly you can count on fingers 5, 6, 7, 8 important directors like Georges Méliès, a trip to the moon, if you remember, or Edwin S. Potter, The Life of a Fireman, or The Great Train Robbery. After that, you directly talk about D.W. Griffith, and very few people talk about G.W. Billy, but people talk more about D.W. Griffith. Then you talk about their contemporaries like Charlie Chaplin, but he is an actor. You talk about this guy Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton for that matter, but they are actors. But in terms of directors or in terms of cinematographers, it is either Billy or Griffith that people talk about after, either it is about Lumiere brothers or Thomas William Kennedy Laurie, not Thomas William Kennedy Laurie Dixon. Thomas Alva Edison is a different person, and then you talk about you talk about A Trip to the Moon or The Great Train Robbery, or then you talk about Griffith or Billy for that matter. But after almost after 10 years, 1902, A Trip to the Moon, Georges Méliès. So, almost a gap of 11 years for any directors to be known in person, So, it was D.W. Griffith and it was Bioscope who started promoting their directors and cinematographers other than the actors, like Betascope, Lubin, Kellem, they were promoting their actors, whereas Biograph was promoting their directors and cinematographers. Now, these production companies abruptly flooded their audience with a publicity campaign. Now, you remember we are for the first time we are using this word called publicity campaign. Now, technically it is here where it was born around 1912, 1913, publicity campaign, which was comprised of photographs, posters, postcards, fan magazines showcasing their favored or favorite star. Consequently, stardom swiftly began to attain mythic proportion, establishing itself as the foundation of production policy in American cinema for the subsequent 50 years down the line. So, what started in 1913, 1912, 13, you are hearing for the first time a word called publicity campaign. Look at how PR is born here, how event management is born here. You must, as a student of mass communication, whether you are a student of journalism or you are a student of filmmaking, animation, or for that matter, you are a student of screenplay writing. But look how a medium which is solely focusing on on the art of storytelling. Suddenly you have PR being born in 1912 and 13. Suddenly you are seeing event management coming in place in the field of cinema for the first time. So they started showing photographs. So a photo shoot started for of the actors, posters, postcards, fan magazines, and these stars gained a mythical status. Look at these pictures, look at these pictures, you know on screen. They are beautifully arranged and shot and presented to the audience in a very calculative way. So this was basically there are like thousands example to talk about when it comes to how the star system was born. Charlie Chaplin charging 1 million 110 years ago. 110 years ago, he was charging 1 million at his own terms and conditions. So you can believe what must have. I'm gradually talk about more stars, more directors, but you can understand how it all started, and we will be talking about how things moved from one end of the country to the another end of the country. Thank you very much.